Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending here, and welcome to you watching online. My name is Greg Kosowski. I'm the Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Centers of North Dakota. The North Dakota HOPE Project, HOPE, stands for Healing, Outreach, Prevention, and Empowerment. We are a group of 6 statewide agencies who serve victims of child abuse, human trafficking, and sexual violence. We're also joined by a survivor today who will share her story. Before we begin, I'd like us to reflect on the media stories from the past year that impacted victims and survivors in North Dakota.
We begin tonight with new information from a North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation report revealing some shocking details about former State Senator Ray Holmberg's years of sexual abuse against minors. It's very graphic and very detailed.
Former North Dakota lawmaker Ray Holmberg had been arranging to meet with minors for sexual encounters.
You know, we obviously knew about his crimes. We had some disgusting details. Ray Holmberg's day job was an educator.
Right.
And,
not only a counselor, Rob.
a counselor. Right.
People are going to him for help.
A former West Fargo school principal has pleaded guilty to federal child sex abuse charges.
And many families woke up to an email this morning from the district informing them that Independence Elementary School principal David George is no longer employed.
There was kids that would make jokes that he was a pedo or like a pedophile and stuff because of how he just interacted with girls especially.
Okay, that's unfair.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Like, how is that fair?
How is it fair that these kids get victimized? How is it fair that
the former director of the North Dakota Game and Fish Department has been arrested and charged with a sex crime? Police in Mandan arrested 71-year-old Terry Steinwand.
This is me at 16 when I met Jeffrey Epstein. 17 years old.
I was only 14. I was in 9th grade.
I was systematically recruited, trafficked.
This is about children. There is no place in society for exploitation, sexual crimes.
A Grand Forks paraprofessional is facing felony charges. Investigators do believe there may be more victims.
A Jamestown elementary school teacher and volunteer firefighter is facing charges.
A former university admissions director has pleaded guilty.
The superintendent and principal at Mid-Coda Public School in Binford, North Dakota has been arrested.
An active member of the Air Force station at Minot Air Force Base is now facing 4 charges.
A 25-year-old Dickinson man has been arrested and is facing 3 felony charges.
Turner is a nurse working in CHI St. Alexius's psychiatric ward.
Kohler searched Instagram for images of teenage girls that he knew in the community. He then used AI software to generate the nude images.
A former North Dakota Sheriff's deputy is now facing federal charges which involve child pornography. Daniel Christensen was arrested this week and taken to federal court.
As you can see, the year 2025 was a year from hell for victims. Victims of exploitation and abuse. Our state was rocked by high-profile case after high-profile case of child exploitation. Each one of those cases should have been prevented. We want to get 2 points across today. First, to the victims and survivors, we see you, we hear you, and please know that there are people ready and willing to help. Last year brought up emotions that nobody should ever have to carry: fear, shame, confusion, betrayal, powerlessness. Please know that there is healing available. Second thing that we want to get across today is to the people of North Dakota. I don't know about you, but we're angry, we're frustrated. There is no room for child sexual abuse or exploitation in North Dakota. No room. We have some opportunities today to make 2026 a year where we stop being reactive and start being proactive, to get ahead of the problem and to protect young people in North Dakota It is possible to prevent these crimes. Let me say that again. It is possible to prevent these crimes. So let's do it. Each of the folks behind me will share briefly about their organization. They'll share some data from 2025, and then they're also going to share one misconception that they hope the people of North Dakota would understand. So we'll start with Mark.
Thank you to the North Dakota Hope Project for bringing us together today, and thank you for our partner agencies and community members who are here. My name is Mark Heinert. I'm the Executive Director of YouthWorks. At YouthWorks, our mission is to ensure that youth have a safe place to belong and to be heard. We work with young people across the state of North Dakota who are navigating housing instability, exploitation, and we see every day how human trafficking actually happens in the lives of young people that we know. In 2025, YouthWorks connected with 140 young people believed to have experienced human trafficking. In 2024, nearly one quarter, 22% of the youth that we supported in other services reported that they had, or we suspected that they also had been trafficked. These numbers represent young people whose lives were shaped not by one dramatic moment, but by environments where risk went unnoticed or unaddressed. One of the biggest barriers to prevention is how we think about trafficking. Many people still imagine trafficking as something done by strangers. Sudden, obvious, external. We see it in the movies, and we believe that we're safe. That way of thinking makes trafficking feel very far away, like it's someone else's problem, happening somewhere else. It allows us to believe that if we're paying attention, or if we're living in the right places, that this isn't something that we need to look that closely at. But that's not what we usually see. More often, trafficking actually grows out of familiarity, out of grooming, crossed boundaries. It can involve trusted adults, acquaintances, or people offering safety and stability with unspoken conditions. These situations are often quiet. They happen in plain sight. They happen online, behind closed doors, but they rely on silence. We've seen this pattern nationally in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, and here in North Dakota in the case of Ray Holmberg. These situations were not sustained by the actions of one individual alone. They continued because red flags were minimized. Discomfort was explained away, and too many people chose not to speak up. Harmful behavior was normalized as personality or eccentricity. That's just the way he is. When we turn a blind eye, especially when someone holds power or influence, we create the conditions where exploitation can continue. Preventing human trafficking doesn't start with telling young people to be more careful. It cannot be solved by simply telling youth how to protect themselves while the adults and systems avoid responsibility. Real prevention means adults being honest with ourselves about what we ignore, about what we excuse, and about what we've stopped challenging, whether we're willing to act when someone feels wrong, and even when it's uncomfortable. At the same time, education does still matter when it's part of the larger responsibility. That's why YouthWorks is proud to partner with the 31-8 Project. Beginning in 2026-27 school year, YouthWorks and 31-8 Project will be providing human trafficking awareness education to every 6th, 10th, and 12th grader in North Dakota. This education will help young people recognize warning signs, understand healthy boundaries, and know where to turn for support. But it is meant to complement, not replace, the broader accountability that we are talking about today. Youth education is strongest when it's paired with adults who are paying attention, systems that respond appropriately, and communities that refuse to ignore those warning signs. So YouthWorks is proud to stand here with you today with North Dakota Hope Project, with the 31-8 Project, and our partners across the state to ensure that every young person has a safe place to belong, a voice that is being heard, and adults who are willing to step up. Thank you.
My name is Stacy Schaefer, and I'm the founder and executive director of 31A Project. We are honored to stand here alongside our partners today as part of the ND Hope Project. As a statewide organization, we are the only organization in North Dakota that solely focuses on human trafficking. Our 4 key areas of programming include human trafficking education, Bravery Backpacks, the Demand Reduction Program, and our Adult Survivor Mentorship Program. In regards to human trafficking in 2025, 31A Project gave 143 presentations and trainings, and this education includes human trafficking, sexual exploitation, sextortion, pornography, and online safety. Through social media, our website, in-person contacts, we were able to reach 454,639 people. So for the past 5 years, we've also hosted something called the Human Trafficking Summit. When this started, there was 80 participants, and this past year we had over 400. So we know there is a want and a need in the community to continue to learn about these topics like human trafficking, sexual exploitation, and pornography. And as Mark had stated, we're really excited to be partnering with YouthWorks to be providing education to schools for those 6th, 10th, and 12th grade. With our Bravery Backpack program, these are backpacks that go to children who are victims of crime. And when we started this program in 2019, there was around 90 backpacks that were delivered. When we deliver these, it's in partnership with other service providers. In 2025, we delivered 1,122, which is double of what was requested last year. So again, just to point out that there is more need in the state when it comes to children who are being victimized by crime. The Demand Reduction Program is a sentencing diversion program, and it targets buyers. These are individuals who specifically solicit others for sex acts. If they are caught doing that, they can be sentenced to this course. This, again, directly targets the buyers. Since its inception, we've had 33 people go through the program between the ages of 20 to 67. And then finally, our Survivor Mentorship Program. When we started this in 2021, we had around 12 survivors go through that program. In 2025, we have worked with over 51. And these are individuals that have experienced both sex and labor trafficking within our state. So again, we see these numbers continue to rise. I want to point out that January is nationally recognized as Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. And we are honored to announce that Governor Kelly Armstrong signed a proclamation recognizing this observance in North Dakota. So I feel like those are steps in the right direction. One of the misconceptions I do want to point out is that a lot of people assume human trafficking only happens in urban communities, when in fact it often does occur in rural communities as well. We have had cases identified in rural communities, reinforcing that this is a statewide issue requiring awareness and action everywhere. So I just want to encourage people, if you want to learn more about the work that 31A Project does, you can visit our website at 318project.org. So I want to thank our partners and everyone that's here for helping us spread awareness across North Dakota, ensuring survivors and communities are informed and supported. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nikki. I wear various hats at 31A Project, including being a peer support specialist, assisting with educational presentations, and serving on the Survivor Advisory Committee as a lived experience expert. Today, I want to share a small part of my journey. Envision a 17-year-old girl from North Dakota, strung out on drugs, not sure where she belongs, who falls in love with a pimp, also known as a trafficker, who promises stability and protection, who eventually took her to California. While in California, she would be forced to engage in prostitution. During this time, she would be repeatedly abused and controlled by her pimp. It would take her 2 years to finally escape him. That is probably hard to envision, but that was me. Fast forward 10 years, and it wasn't until around 2015 that I learned there was a name for what I had endured. human trafficking. There's a common misconception that survivors somehow choose what happens to them, when in all reality, I and countless others were forced and exploited against our will. Human trafficking is about control, coercion, and manipulation, and no one ever asks to be victimized. The truth is echoed in the experiences of victims and survivors of the cases pertaining to Ray Holmberg and Jeffrey Epstein, reminding us that trafficking thrives where power, secrecy, and coercion intersect. Understanding this is critical if we want to support survivors and prevent exploitation in our communities. So from that point forward, I began searching for answers and ways to heal. Over the past 5 years, I have done more healing than I had in the previous 19, which is the number of years I have been out of the life. Each step of this journey has taught me the importance of understanding, support, and the strength that it takes to reclaim your life after exploitation. In fact, in May, I will be graduating with my Bachelor of Social Work. As I wrap up, I want people to understand that human trafficking is not rare. It is prevalent, and it continues to be a growing issue in our communities. It can happen anywhere, and often to not, it goes unnoticed. I am just one survivor among many, and there are still individuals who have not yet been identified, who may not yet have the words for what they are experiencing, and who are still in need of safety, support, and understanding. Awareness is the first step towards change. By learning the signs, starting conversations, and supporting prevention and survivor-centered services, we can help ensure that no one has to face exploitation alone. Thank you.
My name is Christy Dodd, and I am the Executive Director of Families Flourish ND. We are a statewide child abuse prevention organization here in North Dakota that our focus is to really empower families to create safe, nurturing environments for kids. Our belief is that every child should have the opportunity to have a happy, healthy, and safe childhood. And that's really what we work to do, is to make that a reality across the state. So to give you a couple of statistics, so from January to December of 2025, there were 11,802 reports that resulted in an assessment. Of those cases, and keeping in mind that families sometimes had more than one report made against them, so there were 532 cases that were confirmed here in North Dakota and 2,415 cases that also had administrative referrals, which really meant they were sent to law enforcement because there was criminal prosecution. They were sent to another state because it was an out-of-state incident, or it went to a tribal jurisdiction. So last year in North Dakota, Families Flourish worked with over 14,000 individuals across the state, doing either training with families, doing home visiting programs for at-risk new parents, or doing education in schools, mandated reporter training with teachers and other professionals. So that is some of what we do. One of the myths we really work to bust is that child sexual abuse is inevitable and there's nothing we can do to stop it. But really, the fact is, child sexual abuse is preventable. Research shows that education, awareness, and proactive safety measures significantly reduce the risk. And when caregivers, schools, and communities implement the prevention strategies, and we're talking some simple things, such as a parent, when your child is little, you're talking to them about the appropriate body parts. You're calling them out for the parts they are and not the cutesy parts that we're uncomfortable calling them. It's also about teaching kids the importance of online safety and learning to recognize grooming behaviors, and then giving children autonomy to their bodies. So if they don't want to hug someone, we respect that. We can allow them to say no, that sometimes it's not good. And so we can protect children and stop abuse before it even happens. And that is what our entire mission is. I also want to throw out, we do training, a lot of online free training for families and caregivers. And so if you're interested in learning more about some of those trainings, then you can find us on our website, which is pcand.org. So thank you.
Hi, Greg Kosowski with the Children's Advocacy Centers of North Dakota. Across North Dakota, we have 12 Children Advocacy Center locations. And we work with victims of child sexual abuse and other types of child abuse. Before we existed, before Children's Advocacy Centers were in North Dakota, whenever there was a case of child abuse, that child would talk to law enforcement and tell what happened. Then they would talk to a CPS professional and tell what happened to them. Then they might talk to a prosecutor, a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse. It would go on and on and on, and the child kept being re-traumatized over and over, having to retell their story. But now with Children's Advocacy Centers, the child comes to one location. They talk to one person who is a trained forensic interviewer who knows how to ask age-appropriate questions. Meanwhile, while that interview is happening and being recorded down the hallway, law enforcement is watching on a closed-circuit TV, along with Child Protective Services, prosecution, all the other partners in this work. In 2025, we served 3,012 children and families across North Dakota. That included interviewing, is the forensic interviews. 1,023 kids who were suspected of being abused were interviewed by a forensic interviewer. If you or anyone you know suspects a child of being abused, they should call the North Dakota Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Line at 1-833-958-3500. One misconception that I'd like to clear up is the belief that abuse doesn't happen in North Dakota, specifically child sexual abuse. We think it happens in other states. North Dakota, we're a good state. We don't do that. The truth is that 1 in 10 children in North Dakota, before they turn 18, are sexually abused. 1 in 10. So if you look at the number of children that we interviewed last year, 1,023, and think that 1 in 10, we have to pause to consider that there are thousands of other child victims out there who haven't been able to share what's happened to them and to find healing.
Good morning. My name is Christy Wolf. I am the Outreach Coordinator for Central Dakota Forensic Nurse Examiners. We're honored to stand here today alongside our partners as part of the North Dakota Hope Project. Central Dakota Forensic Nurse Examiners provides forensic medical care to survivors of domestic violence, sexual violence, child abuse, and neglect. Excuse me. Our service area covers 23 counties across western North Dakota, including the communities of Bismarck, Minot, Williston, and Dickinson. We care for survivors across the lifespan, from infants to the elderly. In 2025, CDF&E provided medical care for 306 survivors, ranging in age from 10 months to 87 years of age. Of those survivors, 169 were under the age of 18. So what is the forensic medical exam? It is an exam provided by specially trained medical professionals, often a nurse, focused on trauma-informed care and the collection of evidence that may be used in a criminal investigation. Each exam looks a little different and is guided by the needs and comfort of the survivor. During the exam, Our staff may assess injuries, collect evidence such as DNA or clothing, and document findings through written records and forensic photography. Most importantly, the exam is centered on the survivor's safety, dignity, and control. Our nurses are also trained to testify in court when needed. We work as part of multidisciplinary teams alongside advocacy and law enforcement to provide wraparound care. When someone needs us day or night, we are there. CDF&E nurses provide acute forensic medical exams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In addition to acute exams, we also provide delayed exams for children in partnership with children's advocacy centers in our service area. Based on North Dakota law and best practices, evidence can be collected for up to 5 days or 120 hours after an assault and can be stored for up to 7 years. This allows survivors time to make decisions, talk with trusted people, and consider next steps without pressure. You can receive a forensic medical exam without reporting to law enforcement. That choice belongs to the survivor. A common myth is that forensic medical exams will be costly. Survivors in North Dakota are not billed for their forensic medical exam, and neither is their insurance. Cost should never be a barrier for survivors to receive forensic medical care. To access services after an assault, survivors can go to their local emergency department, contact local advocacy agencies, such as the Abused Adult Resource Center, or contact local law enforcement. Whether you come to us immediately after an assault or a few days later, whether you choose to report or not, we are here to support you without judgment and without cost. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Seth O'Neill, and I'm the Executive Director of the North Dakota Domestic and Sexual Violence Coalition. The mission of our organization is to end domestic and sexual violence in North Dakota. Whether we're aware of it or not, every single person in this room or watching online knows someone who has experienced domestic violence or sexual assault. We're still compiling our 2025 numbers, but in 2024, nearly 7,700 North Dakotans reached out to our programs after experiencing domestic or sexual violence. Our organization works to end these crimes by educating people on how to help victims, supporting laws that help victims and hold offenders accountable, and promoting healthy relationships and actions that can reduce violence. As our name states, we are a coalition. We provide training and resources to 18 domestic violence and sexual assault victim advocacy centers across the state of North Dakota. Each center is staffed with victim advocates, and these advocates work directly with victims to help find safe shelter, get protection orders, and ultimately heal from the abuse. These centers are located in small towns, tribal communities, and larger communities all throughout the state. And no matter where a victim is, they can receive services. As my colleagues behind me have stated, we have seen unprecedented levels of violence over the past several years. The advocacy centers we support are seeing more and more victims reaching out for help, and they are seeing more severe cases than they have in previous years. And nothing will change unless we do. But we can't end violence and abuse overnight. Everyday actions from everyday people can make a difference. Violence, abuse, and exploitation thrive in a culture of isolation and silence. If you are concerned that a friend, family member, coworker, or neighbor may be experiencing any kind of abuse or exploitation, I urge you to reach out to them. Let them know that they're not alone and that help is available. Ending the culture of isolation and silence starts with reaching out with a helping hand. And there's one action that every North Dakotan can take today. It's to learn more about these issues, learn how to spot warning signs of abusive relationships, learn how to keep yourselves and your children safe online, learn what services your local advocacy centers and organizations provide. Information is power, and the more we know about violence and how to stop those affected by it, the more powerful we'll be in stopping it. To learn more about domestic and sexual violence and how to prevent it, you can visit our website at nddsvc.org. Or if you or anyone you know needs services, you can go to our website and we have a Find Help page on there. Thank you, and I will pass it on back to Christy to tell you more about our upcoming webinars.
As the headlines of these crimes have unfolded, not only have we stood with survivors, but we have heard the public's outcry and the questions so many people are asking. How did this happen? What can be done, and how do we stop this? Education is a vital part of prevention. It helps people recognize the warning signs, intervene earlier, and protect those who are at risk. For that reason, we are launching a free 6-part webinar series. We will kick off the series next Tuesday, January 13th at 1 p.m. Central Time, with our first session titled Dreams, Dignity, and the Fight Against Labor Trafficking. This webinar will be followed by Child Sexual Abuse Prevention is Possible on Monday, January 26th at 12 p.m., and Today's Creepy White Van on Tuesday, February 10th at 12 p.m. This session will focus on how perpetrators are targeting children online through games, apps, and social media. We are also finalizing the dates and times for our last 3 webinars in the series, which will be titled The Sound of Reality, What Sex Trafficking Really Looks Like in North Dakota, Your Child's Best Friend May Be an AI Chatbot, and Sexting, Cyberbullying, and Healthy Online Relationships. For more information on the webinars and to register for all of the sessions, you can visit our website at www.ndhopeproject.org. We invite parents, caregivers, community leaders, and anyone who wants to be part of the solution to join us for this education initiative. As we bring this press conference to a close, I want to take a moment and speak directly to the most important people in this conversation, the survivors. To the children, women, and men who have endured these horrific crimes, it is not your fault. Whether you have shared your story or are still carrying it silently, your voice matters. You deserve healing, dignity, respect, and love. There are people and organizations across our state who are here to support you. You are not alone. We believe you, and we stand with you. Human trafficking, child exploitation, and abuse are very real issues in North Dakota. These crimes occur in our large cities and in the most rural corners of our state. No one is immune, but there is hope. Together, we can change the headlines. Through education, collaboration, and meaningful action, each of us has a role in creating a future where these crimes are prevented, making North Dakota a safer place for everyone. I want to thank everyone for being here today, for the incredible partners that are standing behind me working on this initiative, and every single person who cares about this. There is additional information about each of our organizations on the table over there. The North Dakota Hope Project, a breakdown of our webinar series, and we are now happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the question. The question is about any state policy work that might be helpful for this. Our state government, our state legislators have been fantastic with, as Mark had mentioned, the implementation of human trafficking prevention training for every 6th grader, 10th grader, and 12th grader across North Dakota. That is kicking off this year. There's many other policies that we could pursue or would like to see done. Having child sexual abuse prevention training in schools would be fantastic. But our state legislators have been great to make sure that human trafficking prevention education has been implemented across the state.
That's a fantastic question. We hope not. We are developing the curriculum, and we expect to partner with DPI and then individual schools to make sure that our curriculum is consistent. And so 31-8 and YouthWorks are currently working on that, and we ironically just had a conversation this morning with our funders on the state level about how we might make that happen with as little hiccups and bumps as possible. We will be doing some sessions already this school year, but we expect it to fully roll out 2026-2027 school year.
Why those age groups?
It's a fantastic question that I don't know that I can speak to. I don't know if you want to speak to that one, Stacy.
That was a big conversation on how to determine what age groups. And originally, when it was looked at educating 4th through 12th grade, and we knew that that might be a big thing to try to tackle. So the thought with the 6th grade is they're entering that middle school range. And so, and then when you look at the average age in which someone is targeted in these situations, it's around 12 to 14. And so that was the thought process there. With 10th grade, again, you're entering into high school. And so the changes that you're facing during that time. But then we also can see sometimes that increase in homeless and runaway youth as well within that population. And then for 12th grade, the thought was, well, they're about to graduate. So let's give them some tools that they can have in their toolbox for when they're going into society. So it's a refresher course, but also here are some things to keep in mind as you graduate and you turn an adult that impact you. So that's where we settled on for now. And I guess we'll have to see next legislative session if that would change, but that was what we had agreed to.
So, is this elective education, or is this going to be something that's going to be mandated, like within the confines of like the health and biological sciences unit, or how do you see this being worked into the curriculum?
If I'm correct, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, this is mandatory that all kids 6th, 10th, and 12th grade receive this education. And public schools. That's a good point. States that right now it's public schools. Private is not included this time around. Unless they want. And I will say we've already gotten requests from the private schools. So we are seeing that. Mm-hmm.
In the instance of child sexual abuse, I would say 85% are somebody who is known by the family. So when I grew up, it was stranger danger, everybody be prepared, but it really is those people that are brought into the family, whether it is a step parent, a coach, a volunteer in a youth organization, and we're seeing more and more child on child cases of older kids and younger kids in those situations. So that is, it's people we know.
If I don't feel comfortable, I'll let you know. For me personally, it gives me a platform to utilize my voice. For so long, I was silenced, and I no longer am. It also gives me hope that my fellow brothers and sisters out there will be able to find their voice and come forward. And if they can't find their voice, then we can be their voice. Working with organizations, specifically 318, has been monumental in my healing journey. I have been able to accomplish so many different things, and it just doesn't impact me, it impacts my family as well. And I have many sisters out there who are impacted as well. I work closely with other survivors, and I know that they are excited to be a part of this. because it brings back our sense of empowerment that we got taken away.
I want to add one comment to this, and it's kind of the overriding theme, which is a call to action for all of us. And we're telling you really clearly that people are turning away. People are turning a blind eye to early warning signs. And so that's our challenge to everyone in this state, is to stop turning a blind eye. If you see something that doesn't feel right, say something about it, call it out. There's too many times where our North Dakota nice gets in the way. And we're like, it's not my place to tell them, I just am going to walk away from this conversation. And so I think the challenge for all of us is that we make a change in our society and we don't tolerate this behavior, and we say something when we see it, and we don't tolerate that behavior when we're seeing the slightest warning sign of that, because that can be true prevention, so that there doesn't have to be as many Nickies out there that have experienced it that we're trying to help. We would rather there not be the victims because we've intervened sooner, and we've made a change in our society so that it's no longer socially acceptable to do some of the things that we're seeing. So.
So the question about this project and how long it will last, we don't know. And just to clarify, the human trafficking education in public schools, it's a separate initiative. Certainly the organizations behind me are leading that charge. But this online education for parents, I think that's where the gap is right now, is we focus a lot on let's educate kids, let's give them body safety and things like that. We're forgetting about adults and educating adults. We are the ones that are responsible for children. So that's the education that we'd like to see. And the 6 webinars, I mean, we could come up with 20 different topics that we'd like to educate North Dakotans on. So certainly if there's momentum after the 6, we'll have more opportunities.